Richard is he's got a great voice. He has a tremendous voice, and he's kind of like, he's throwing those vocals out there, right? Kind of as Nick is sort of strumming that guitar, and the note just starts to float up, like I was describing before. And Rich is like, "Hey, here's another vocal," it's kind of attached to that. And as guitar is kind of, that sort of sound is floating, Richard's vocals are right there with it, and they're just soaring together. Yeah, it was that kind of vibe. It was beautiful. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Into the Music. My name is Greg, and I get every now and then, check out the Verve. Check out the Verve. Loved your sonnet reaction. Loved the come on reaction. Actually, mainly, I would say most comments coming on the channel about the Verve. It's about the sonnet reaction that Chris and I did several months ago. So go check that out if you can. Because I think that was one of our better ones. It was a good song. And so check out the Verve, more Verve. And then this one just came over recently, and it just struck me. Because I do know some of the Verve, and so songs that get dropped, I'm like, I kind of know it. I know it. I wouldn't mind doing that. Just as kind of, if I let you guys know I know it, we can still kind of get into the music and have good discussion. That said, this one just came by just a week ago, and it was called "Life's an Ocean." I'm like, I haven't done the Verve in a long time. I don't know this song. And then the requester, and I forgot who you are. So you know who you are. So, thumbs up to you that I'm doing this. You mentioned Jools Holland, right? Later with Jools Holland. And I've actually used performances on that show for some of our reactions in the past. And they're mostly all good performances, great performances. So I'm like, hey, how can I go wrong? So the Verve, "Life's an Ocean," live performance, later with Jools Holland. What's that bass line? Bass line is cool.
Life's an ocean, too much commotion.
His voice sounds so good.
Too much emotion, dragging me down. Living for today, don't have time to break. Ready for the game. Take a line of pick up aim.
I love the vibe. Right, right to start. We're 1 minute 21 seconds in. The vibe is so cool. I love it. It's kind of slow paced, but man, they're getting like just that groove, that feel.
Imagine the future. I woke up with a scream. I was buying some feelings from a vending machine. Said I will be
That's cool. Wow. Yeah. I mean, what a performance. That was great. I never heard that song before, so that has to be some early Verve. They look pretty young in there too, before their breakthrough album. So yeah. So let me gather my thoughts together. I got a lot of things to say about this song, uh, and about that performance. All right. See you on the other side. Oh man, I mean that groove. It was such a groove, that song. Wow. That performance, those sounds that they were getting out of their instruments on that live performance, it was so great. It was just a laid back, I mean, that's kind of like, sort of like the atmosphere, right? I mean, what they were doing, it took a lot of focus and intensity to get those sounds out, right? Um, but it was like a chill. It was a groove. It was laid back. That guitar. I think Nick. I forget his last name. I think the guitarist. His first name is Nick. What he was getting out of that guitar. I mean, just the reverb. Just floating up. Just like you know. Blow the bubble and just the bubble just goes and just soars out into the sky. It was like those every stroke, every note, every chord. That was just beautiful, and it was great how his guitar playing was playing off of I think Richard Ashcroft's his vocals. Richard is kind of he's got a great voice. He has a tremendous voice, and he's kind of like he's throwing those vocals out there, right? Kind of as Nick is sort of strumming that guitar, and the note just starts to float up, like I was describing before. And Rich is like, "Hey, here's another vocal," it's kind of attached to that. And as guitar is kind of, that sort of sound is floating, Richard's vocals are right there with it, and they're just soaring together. Um, yeah, it was that kind of vibe. It was beautiful. Um, it probably all that wouldn't have really worked though. Okay, it would have been fine. It would have been okay, but all that wouldn't have been as effective if you didn't have that bass playing, that groove. That bass was so. It was just the sound, the tone of the bass, and it was just a. Of course, I just didn't do any justice to that bass line, but it was just so good, right? That and the drums. So I don't remember the names of those two guys, but I got some information pulled up, and I will let you guys know. In fact, you're right now screaming at the screen. I know the names. Um, so I just can't hear you. So yeah, just the groove and the music, and again, Richard's voice is just tremendous. Let me get into some information about the band, and I've already done a couple of reactions to this band, so I'm not going to go crazy into the band themselves, um, except to just kind of summarize. English rock band formed in Wigan, Wigan, 1990, founded by Richard, guitarist Nick McCabe, okay, bass guitarist Simon Jones, and drummer Peter Salisbury. Okay, and then guitarist and keyboard player Simon Tong later became a member in their first reunion only. I think that happened like several years after they broke up because of, um, you know, sort of a lot of tensions happened with Bittersweet Symphony and all that fallout. So beginning with, and this is Wiki, beginning with a psychedelic sound with their debut LP, A Storm in Heaven. By the mid 1990s, the band had released several EPs and 3 albums. They also endured name and lineup changes, breakups, health problems, drug abuse, and various lawsuits. Yeah. Um, the lineup changes, I didn't think there were that many. I'm looking at now, right now, past members. Yeah, Richard, Nick, Simon, Peter, and then Simon Tong. Simon Jones and then Simon Tong. Um, I don't see that as various lineup changes. Yeah, the band's commercial breakthrough was the 1997 album Urban Hymns, one of the best-selling albums in the UK chart history. Um, the album features the hit singles Bittersweet Symphony, The Drugs Don't Work, Sonnet, and Lucky Man. Lucky Man's a great song. Maybe I'll just do that. I know it. I know it like backwards and forwards, but it's just, such a great song, isn't it? In '98, and just Bittersweet Symphony, it's just that title itself. Think about it. This album, I think it was their third one, Urban Hymns. It was a breakthrough, as Wiki says, commercial breakthrough. The band was working hard, got the name out, people in UK, absolutely knew this band. This album puts them like on the world map. And I guess what, it was months or a year or so later, and they're broken up, and the lawsuits and everything involved in, Bittersweet Symphony and the Rolling Stones, and uh, that melody, that line, it was stolen, all that crap. Um, and Chris and I actually go into it in a couple of reactions back. I think Sonnet, we actually went into it. So yeah, but Bittersweet, right? It brings them so much success, commercial success, and they wind up breaking up, I think, related to this. So definitely Bittersweet. So this song is off A Northern Soul. So this is their second album, the one 1995, and this is right before 2 years before Urban Hymns. So a little bit about this album. This the second one, 1995. It was released, and the title is a reference to Northern Soul, a popular soul movement in Britain that I think started in the 1960s and then continued in the 70s. A Northern Soul, the album, was a moderate success upon release, charting at number 13 in the UK, and it has since received critical acclaim, as well as being ranked high in readers' polls and popular music publications. This is the final album to feature the band's original lineup until 2008's Fourth. In 2013, NME New Musical Express ranked it at number 390 in its list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. So I'm not familiar with this one, and I need to check it out. So according to Wiki, after they performed in Lollapalooza in 1994, they got back together to record their second album, this one, and they actually learned from some difficulties that they had during the recording of their debut album. So they wanted to take, with this one, a more focused approach. Bassist Simon Jones stating, quote, "I was like, I'm not going through that again. We are writing these songs before we even step through the doors." Richard Ashcroft described the experience as insane, quote, insane in ways that only good music, bad drugs, and mixed emotions can make. These incidents varied in nature, from Ashcroft disappearing for days to producer Owen Morris smashing a window after the recording of one of the songs on this album, History. Morris later recalled, quote, "They did my head in completely and utterly." Oh man, there you go. That's life. It's a fantastic album at the end of the day, but it's not a process that I'd ever want to go through again. So, earlier I was talking about Urban Hymns, and that did the band in, and that might have just been like the final straw, but it sounds like this band was pretty intense. Sitting down and recording their music for these albums. Seemed like they were going through a lot. Very intense, some turmoil, here and there. Um, that could only sustain itself, just for so long. So I think I think a lot of that stuff was kind of, sort of baked in already by the time, that last album came out, and then all that controversy. It was like, we're done. Um, yeah. So, and just a little bit about the music, I think related to this. Each song, this is Ashcroft saying, quote, each song is a northern soul going through different emotions. I hear this character all the way through the record, pretty pained, then elated, then arrogant. All facets of that personality are a northern soul. That's what I am. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up this song and what I was hearing in that music and in his vocals. Um, I'm just like this line right here in Wiki jumping out at me. Modern, urban, tortured psychedelic soul. A wall of noise, a sea of anguish. Wow. This is actually Nick Southall of Stylus and writing this. He calls it a masterpiece. On a hillside somewhere in the distance, a man screams his desolation at the sky and curses his birth, overcome with fear that this emptiness may be all he can ever know. This record is his scream. Yeah, wow. Wow, what a beautiful, on some of these reactions, when I read about what critics have to say about these songs, not this one, just in general, sometimes they could be real kind of scathing, and sound pompous, and this one actually is a good one. So you say, well, you only like the good ones. No, I mean, when it really makes sense to me. This one is fantastic, just, the way he just described, because it really, it connects with me, you have to just listen to that song, you know, spot on, man. And so let me just get into the lyrics a bit before we wrap up. Life's an ocean, too much commotion, too much emotion, dragging me down. Living for today, don't have time to pray. Ready for the game, take a line of fickle flame. Wow. Yeah. I wonder also, like, just take the L out of flame and just say fickle fame. Like you're on that sort of tight line of like having everything, and then it just one day it's gone. I wonder if the band realized that too. That ties into, as their band, they're getting this notoriety and success and all that. They're dealing with their own personal issues, and the intensity that the band was displaying in the recordings, and the drug use and the whole thing. And yeah, and he's saying he imagined the future, woke up with a scream. Real intensity there. I was buying some feelings from a vending machine. Wow. So it's like, these feelings really his own feelings, he doesn't even know anymore. That's my interpretation. Say that I will see something more than I have. There's something inside of me crying out for something else. And if someone hears the scream, put it in a letter to me. My scrolling thing wasn't working. Let me just repeat that. And if someone hears the scream, put it in a letter to me. Wow. So again, like he's trying to come to grips with his own emotions. He's feeling something, right? And he's letting it out, but he's not really sure what he's really. He's still trying to make sense of it. So like, hey, you hear it. What do you think? Uh, tell me, let me know. Write a letter to me. This is the end, I think. Life's an ocean, too much commotion, not enough emotion to satisfy me. Yeah, and then slippery, slidey road down. Hold my hand and we'll walk down. Dry those eyes and we'll walk down. And then just too much emotion, too much emotion. Who is he telling to dry their eyes? That's interesting. So let me know what you think about the song, what you think it means. Put your own thoughts, comments in, please. I like to know. Where do you take the song and rank this up? Um, and also this album, what do you think about it? Better than Urban Hymns? Um, I don't know. Let me know. So definitely one I'm going to get into. But if you want me to listen to some more songs from this album, even the first one, let me know, and I'll try to hold off on doing my own personal dive, and I'll check some songs out on this channel. So in the meantime, I hope to see every one of you on the next episode of Into the Music.